Hi everyone, I'm Cath and I work for Solent Mind in Portsmouth as an employment advisor. Today I'm going to talk through how to complete an application form. I hope that by the end of this video, you will be able to identify key skills that employers are looking for, understand how to write a personal statement, and learn how to write an effective application. An application form is a chance for you to really shine and show all the skills and experience that you have that relates to the role that you're applying for. You can use skills and experience that you've gained from paid work, voluntary work, or from any hobbies or interests that you have. Firstly, I'm going to ask you to pause this video and think about all the types of information that you will need before you start to complete your application. What sort of questions are going to be on the form? You might find it helpful to have a copy of your CV to hand. Okay, so I hope you've managed to write a few things down and identified what information will be required from you. This is my list. Personal details such as phone numbers, address, email address. It's important that the email you use is professional and appropriate. Job title or reference number. This is important as this ensures that your application form goes to the correct person and the correct department. Employment history, employer's name, dates that you've worked for them, job title and reason for leaving. Some employers may ask you to include any gaps in your employment, so think about how you are going to explain these. Did you decide to take a career break? Were you recovering from ill health, volunteering, caring for a relative, or were you unemployed and looking for work, or studying, etc.? It's always best to be honest. You're usually expected to only go back a maximum of 10 years, but some employers will specify how far they want you to go back. You will also need information on your education, qualifications, subjects, grades, dates of completion. Also relevant additional training or experience such as voluntary work that relates to the role that you're applying for. Lastly, you will be asked for references. You will need the referee's name, telephone number, email address, and their relationship to you. I will talk about this some more later on. Now we're going to look at what you should start to do once you find a job advert that appeals to you. The first thing to do is to read the job advert all the way through to see what qualifications, experience, and skills the employer is looking for. Always check the closing date and submit as early as possible, as some employers will look at applications as they receive them and may close the application early if they receive too many. It's always a good idea to research the organisation that you're applying to by looking on their website, Glassdoor, and their social media to get an idea of the organisation's values and beliefs. Look at their mission statement, if they have one, to get a better understanding of what the company's aims are. Look at what products or services they sell or provide. Start to think about why you want this particular job. Is it because you have done something similar in the past, or are you passionate about the products or services they provide? Now we're going to look at some tips for completing paper applications and online applications. You'll find most applications are completed online these days, but some employers will still use paper forms. Here are some tips to make completing paper forms easier. Start by reading the application form through first. Write clearly and use black ink and capitals when asked. If a question does not apply, write NA. This shows that you have read the question and found that it's not applicable to you, rather than just ignoring it. Avoid mistakes and crossings out on the final form by completing a photocopy of the original first. Most libraries have photocopiers and printers available for public use. Check for spelling mistakes and proofread your application. If possible, ask a friend to read it through for you to check any spelling or grammar errors, and keep the form clean and crease-free. Here are some tips on completing online forms. Draft your application using Microsoft Word. Save it to your computer so you have a backup copy. Run a spell check, and then you can copy and paste the information onto the online system. Keep a record of your username and password. Some employers use scanning software looking for keywords. Include some keywords of the skills and qualifications they have asked for. If you don't have access to a computer, most libraries have computers available for public use, or you could ask a friend if you could use theirs. It can be a bit more difficult to use your phone due to the small screen, but some online applications can also be completed on your mobile phone. So let's see what we've covered so far. We've looked at the type of information that is required on an application form, how having a CV is useful so you can copy and paste information from it, and tips for completing online and paper application forms. We are now going to look at transferable skills. These are skills that you can use from previous jobs, education, voluntary work, or from any hobbies or interests that you might do in your spare time. You can either choose to click the link now or watch the video later. Here are a list of key skills that employers look for. Can you spot any that you have? These are just a few, but there are many more. Okay, so let's look at a job advert. So this is an advert for a daycare assistant. I'll give you some time to read it, or you can pause the video here. We're now going to look at the person specification for this role. This is a list of requirements that the employer is looking for. I've highlighted the transferable skills for this role. As you can see in the person specification, the employer requirements are broken down into essential requirements and desirable requirements for this role. You will need to demonstrate that you have the essential requirements for this role and will receive extra points if you can also demonstrate that you also have some of the desirable requirements. If you don't have all the requirements for this role, but can demonstrate that you have the majority of them, it's still worth applying because there may be other candidates that don't also meet all the requirements. You may be stronger in one area than someone else. We're now going to look at a personal statement. This is usually a space on the application form which says, please tell me why you feel you are suitable for this role. Or what skills and experience do you have for this role, or something similar. This can sometimes cause people a lot of anxiety. Start off explaining what attracts you to this particular role and what it is about this role or this particular company. Do you like the employer's values or mission statement? For example, the employer might support fair trade, and this aligns well with your own values. You will now need to look at the person specification again and start to provide evidence to demonstrate that you have the skills and experience that the employer is looking for. It's a good idea to use subheadings to structure your statement or keywords from the person specification. This will make it easier for the shortlisting panel to identify and score your evidence against their criteria. Most employers will score you a 0 for providing no evidence, a 1 for partially meeting the criteria, a 2 for fully meeting the criteria, and a 3 for exceeding the criteria. The candidates that score the highest will be the ones who are invited for interview. Let's look at an example of how to demonstrate some essential skills. This is a very basic example, but I'm sure yours will be more in depth. So if we look at the second requirement from the person specification, which was to have excellent written and oral communication skills, including IT skills, we can write this example in our personal statement. In my previous role at Blue Water Care Home, I was responsible for monitoring the residents' health, care, social needs, liaising with other members of the staff and people involved in the residents' care, as well as with the residents themselves to ensure their needs were met. I recorded this information and updated each resident's care plan using a specialist in-house IT system. So as you can see, we've demonstrated our communication skills by stating we liaised with other staff members. We have demonstrated our written skills by stating that we've recorded information. And lastly, we have demonstrated our IT skills by stating that we have used a specialist in-house IT system to update care plans. As I said, this is a very basic example, but I hope you get the idea. Some application forms will include competency-based questions. These types of questions are designed to access your ability to do the job by asking you to demonstrate skills in relevant areas. You can use the STAR technique when answering these questions. If you'd like to find out more about this, please subscribe to our channel. Now let's look at references. You should always read the reference requirements. Employers usually require 2 references, a work-related reference and a personal one. Check with people first that they're happy to provide a reference. Give their name, job title, relationship to you, and contact details. If you do not have any work experience or do not want to use your last employer, you can ask other people to give a reference, including a previous employer, a teacher or college tutor, a team leader from voluntary work, a sports team, or a faith leader from your place of worship. Lastly, you need to do a final check. Make sure you check the job description and person specification and have proven that you meet the requirements by providing evidence. Check that you've included everything that the employer has asked for. Some employers will include a checklist. Keep a copy of your application form so you can reread it before the interview, and don't forget to sign and date it. Let's look at our learning outcomes, which were to identify key skills that employers are looking for, understand how to write a personal statement, and learn how to write an effective application. I hope that you have found this video useful. The following slides will provide you with some links to additional resources should you need them. You can use this link to provide feedback for this video. If you like this video and are interested in seeing more, please subscribe to our channel. If you are living in the Portsmouth area, here are some helpful contact numbers for you. If you are experiencing mental health crisis, please contact the Samaritans on 116 123 or on NHS number 111. If you're in a state of emergency, please call 999. There are also many apps available to help you manage your well-being, including the Solent Mind app. Thank you for listening. I wish you all the best in your job search.